Interstellar object whirling through our solar system is actually a nuclear-powered spacecraft sent by aliens to test how humans respond.
A fast-moving object the size of Manhattan is hurtling towards our solar system, and it will make its closest pass to Earth on December 17th. Comet, asteroid, or something else?
The silence in the room was heavy, as if the air itself had grown dense with unease. Michio Kaku had spoken many times before about the wonders of science, the boundless horizons of technology, and the deep mysteries of the universe. His voice had always carried with it a spark of optimism, a reminder that knowledge is power, that the future belongs to those who dare to imagine it. But this time was different. His words didn't carry hope. They carried weight. They carried dread. The subject was an object called 3I Atlas, an interstellar traveler now threading its way into our solar system. At first glance, it looked like just another comet, another visitor from the darkness beyond our star. But the deeper the data was analyzed, the more unsettling the picture became. It was not moving as it should. It was not behaving as comets or asteroids are supposed to. Its path bent and shifted in ways that suggested something unnatural. Subtle changes in its speed, slight but undeniable course corrections, like a ship guided by unseen hands. People in the audience leaned forward, hearts thudding in their chests. Kaku did not cloak his words in reassurance. He admitted that the numbers, the cold hard mathematics, left no room for comfort. If this object was simply a comet, it should follow the rules of gravity, of physics, of predictable celestial mechanics. But it wasn't. It was breaking them. Imagine watching a stone skip across a still pond, only to suddenly veer against the wind as though it had a mind of its own. That is what the data revealed. Not random chance, not ice melting or gas venting from its surface. None of the usual culprits. Instead, it was as though 3I Atlas was alive, or at the very least operating on principles humanity has never encountered before. And then there was its size. Far larger and denser than expected, this object was not some fragile fragment drifting from a faraway system. It was massive, solid, almost impossibly heavy, as if forged rather than formed. The numbers didn't just suggest something strange, they screamed it. Nature does not casually create such density. Nature does not casually allow such objects to move with such precision. The more Kaku explained, the more unsettling the silence became. There was no comfort to be found in the usual scientific escape hatches. The idea that maybe it was all an error, maybe the instruments were flawed, maybe it was a trick of perspective. No, this time the evidence was too consistent, too undeniable. Something about 3I Atlas was wrong, or perhaps something about it was deliberate. And then came the most haunting revelation. Strange pulses, rhythmic emissions detected from its surface, signals that repeated at intervals too precise to be dismissed as random noise. Not the roar of gas jets, not the static of cosmic rays, but patterns. Patterns that felt like whispers from the dark, as though the object itself was speaking in a language we could not yet translate. Kaku didn't say the words directly. He didn't need to. The implication hung heavy in the air. If these were signals, then humanity might not be staring at a rock at all, but at a machine, a vessel, a creation. The thought chills the spine because it forces a new perspective. For centuries, humanity has gazed outward with curiosity, confident that the universe was an open book waiting to be read. But what if the book was already writing back? What if this object wasn't just a visitor, but a message, a probe, a test? And what if it wasn't here by accident? December 17th. That's the date Kaku said it would make its closest pass to Earth. It would not strike, not yet, but its trajectory cuts close enough to raise questions no one can silence. What if its path shifts again? What if it alters course once more, like it has already done? Its presence near our fragile world feels less like coincidence and more like design. The terror isn't that it will crash into us tomorrow. The terror is that it may not be what we think it is at all, that somewhere, something beyond our comprehension has built it, sent it, set it loose, and we are the ones caught in its gaze. When Kaku finished his presentation, there was no applause, only silence. The kind of silence that comes when you realize the ground beneath your feet isn't as solid as you believed. Humanity has always trusted the laws of the universe to be constant, dependable, unshakable. But now here was proof that those laws might not hold. Proof that something in the vast dark knows more than we do, and perhaps watches us even now. And that, more than anything, is why the data about 3I Atlas is terrifying. The days after Michio Kaku's revelation felt different, as though the world itself had shifted ever so slightly on its axis. News anchors spoke in hushed tones, scientists refused to speculate openly, and yet everywhere people whispered about 3I Atlas. Was it truly natural? Or had humanity just brushed against something it was never meant to understand? Astronomers around the world pointed their instruments toward the object, feeding on every sliver of light it reflected back. But what unsettled them most was not its brightness, nor its mass, nor its strange composition. It was the way it seemed aware. Its course corrections, subtle as they were, hinted at intention, as if it was not just passing through, but watching, waiting. Governments, of course, scrambled in the background. Classified meetings, urgent calls between leaders, intelligence agencies combing over decades of space data to see if 3I Atlas had a twin, a precedent, a clue, but no record matched. Nothing in the long history of astronomy could explain an interstellar body acting like this. For once, even the most skeptical scientists had no easy dismissal. And then came the signals. Radio telescopes detected them more clearly now. Pulses at regular intervals, almost like a heartbeat. Not strong enough to be communication as we know it, but not random either. Too ordered, too deliberate. Some insisted it was interference, others called it coincidence. But deep down, everyone knew. Nature doesn't whisper in patterns. Something else does. People began to remember Oumuamua, that strange interstellar visitor discovered in 2017, which also defied expectations. It had moved in ways no comet should, sparking quiet theories that perhaps it was artificial. But Oumuamua had come and gone, leaving only questions. 3I Atlas was different. It wasn't leaving, it was coming closer. December 17th became a date marked on calendars worldwide, not with excitement, but with dread. Some saw it as an omen, others as a test. Religious leaders spoke of prophecy, while conspiracy theorists declared it proof of hidden truths long buried. But beyond the noise, the reality remained the same. An object larger than mountains, older than recorded history, and stranger than anything science had faced, was heading straight toward the heart of our solar system. Michio Kaku warned that we must prepare ourselves not just scientifically, but psychologically. Humanity had lived for millennia under the illusion that the universe was silent, that we were alone. But what if this silence was not emptiness, but patience? What if the universe had been watching, waiting for us to reach this moment? Imagine for a moment that 3I Atlas is not a rock at all. Imagine it is a craft, a messenger, a sentinel built by minds unfathomably older and more advanced than ours. Its dense mass not the result of nature's chaos, but of engineering. Its signals not random echoes, but a deliberate beacon. And its strange shifts in motion, not mistakes, but choices. If that is true, then every assumption we've made about our place in the cosmos is shattered. We are no longer observers. We are participants in a story that began long before our species even learned to walk. Kaku's voice carried that haunting thought when he said, "The question is no longer if we are alone. The question is, have they found us?" And that question lingers like a shadow. If 3I Atlas is a machine, then its creators know of us now. And if they know of us, then the universe is no longer a frontier of mystery. It is a mirror reflecting our own fragility. As the days counted down toward its closest approach, an unease spread across the globe. Telescopes tracked it relentlessly, but every new image only deepened the fear. No tail of dust, no melting ice, no outgassing jets. Just a cold, silent object, moving with impossible precision, as though it were drawn by invisible strings across the void. And so humanity waits. For answers, for revelations, for whatever December 17th may bring. But perhaps the most terrifying possibility is this. What if 3i Atlas does not speak, does not reveal, does not act at all? What if it only watches and waits? December the 17th arrived like a storm cloud hanging over the world. You could feel the tension in the air, even if you tried to ignore it. Every news channel had its cameras trained skyward, every telescope in the world locked onto a single point of light in the heavens. Humanity had never been so united by a single object before. Not in fear, not in fascination, not in the raw, primal sense that something beyond our control was about to unfold. The hours ticked by, and the object grew brighter, not blazing like a comet with a streaming tail, but steady, unwavering, unchanging. A perfect, constant glow. The silence in mission control rooms across the world was almost unbearable. Screens flashing data, numbers scrolling endlessly, and yet no answers. Only the unknown. And then it happened. The object shifted again. Not by chance, not by gravity, but deliberately. Its path bent in a way no natural body could, almost as if it were correcting itself. Gasps filled auditoriums. Hands gripped tighter around armrests. Even the most seasoned scientists, hardened by years of rational thought, felt their throats go dry. It was no longer a theory, no longer speculation. The object was not simply falling through space, it was steering. Signals spiked across radio telescopes, bursts of pulses, more intense now, more patterned. It was as if the object knew it was being watched, as if it had chosen this moment, this exact day, to announce itself. Some cried, some prayed. Others stared in mute disbelief as the idea settled like ice in their veins. We were not alone. We had never been alone. Michio Kaku's words echoed louder than ever. This changes everything. This is the moment we've been waiting for, and the moment we've been fearing. For centuries, humanity had looked outward, asking if someone might be out there. But no one ever asked the harder question. What if they come to us first? What if they have been here all along, waiting for us to be ready, or daring us to notice? The object passed at its closest approach, silent yet commanding. No attack, no destruction, no message that we could translate. Just its presence, a mountain of alien mystery drifting above us like a shadow. And in that silence, perhaps, was the message itself. Maybe it was a test. Maybe it was a warning. Or maybe it was simply a reminder that we are young, fragile, and not nearly as alone as we once believed. The night it passed, millions stepped outside to look up, searching for the faint light of 3i Atlas against the stars. It was humbling, terrifying, awe-inspiring. For the first time in history, humanity felt like the child it truly was, standing at the edge of a vast ancient ocean and realizing that something on the other shore had finally noticed. And as it drifted back into the black, leaving us with more questions than answers, one thought clung to every mind, every heart. If this was only the beginning, what comes next?